people that are accredited in the media, former athletes, analysts, experts that are co-signing that this looks, feels, sounds, reads like a smear campaign against CJ Stroud. Who is this benefiting? There we go. CJ Stroud made a commitment to the Manning Passing Academy, but, quote, the night before he ghosted them and didn't show up per Brady Quinn. When you do that, that's going to set up alarms for people, right? What's the big deal about missing the Manning Passing Academy? Right? And then I was like, well, why is this setting up alarms for people? This doesn't really register to me. I don't understand the analysis, but he's a former quarterback, Notre Dame, played in the NFL for a number of years. All right, he gets a pass to just get his narratives off. Ryan Clark. You see it here. Late last night, he got his take off. CJ Stroud never committed to attend the Manning camp. Okay, let's be clear. CJ Stroud never, get that off, never committed to attend the Manning camp. He chose to work with his teammates at Ohio State instead before his final season. He wasn't paid to go. And furthermore, now here's where the shots start to get fired. Brady Quinn, what does acquiescing to the Manning family have to do with leading an organization? Now that's where the shots, like that, that's where the shots start. This is an example of analysts like Brady Quinn telling stories of zero value to diminish a man's character while validating his own. Preach, preacher. Instead of dissecting film or speaking to coaches, an adult man stooped to gossip while analyzing. It's an immature evaluation of football integrity. Now again, shots, okay? Now, Brady Quinn is not, he's not going at Dove now. He wants to smoke with Ryan Clark. This is also an example of an analyst not doing his homework. Arrow pointing up at Ryan Clark. There was no shot taken at his character, and clearly you don't know me, my work ethic or integrity. Maybe do the work, listen to the pod before you start making claims. And here comes the cheapness of it all right here. I hate when people do this because this is no benefit to the conversation, but you shoot your shot, right? Also, instead of resorting to Twitter, why don't you join the podcast to discuss? Open invitation. Or I'll gladly come on a podcast of yours to discuss. Let me know. God bless. Because at the end of the day, it's just content. I said Brady Quinn jumped out the window, said the thing. He got the reaction. He got the clicks. He got the retweets. He got his name out there. He got his take out there. Now he's finding people that got some issues with him. Beef, even though this is not a show on Netflix and this is not a song by Biggie on Life After Death, but there's beef here. And now he wants to come on people's podcasts. Why? So he can promote his podcast and keep spitting his take because content is all that matters. Content is king. That's all that matters. What can I do to drive the numbers up on my platform? That's what Brady's trying to do. He's trying to leverage whatever story this is regarding CJ Stroud in this smear campaign to make him fall down the draft boards. And now this is where we sit with it. But Ryan Clark was not done. And I love this response because it helps shut down the attempt of trying to, let's build nonsense. I have zero need to join a podcast to refute this claim. As you suggested, I did do my research. I wanted to know what happened before tweeting about it. The entire story was not shared on the podcast, left out important details that could have been provided clarity. I've had convos with CJ. So I'm getting it straight from the horse's mouth. And he's shown exemplary leadership ability. Former teammates and coaches rave of his unselfishness. I didn't question your work ethic. I pointed out your decision to use gossip as a qualifier instead of all the time you put into your craft. That's a you decision. Bars. Okay? Bars. Who wants CJ Stroud this bad that they're willing to muddy the waters about his acumen, his skill set, and his character? Who does it benefit? Which is the question that Matt Miller's asking. And I believe me and Alex were in here yesterday trying to figure this out. Who does this benefit for CJ Stroud to go tumbling down draft boards? Well, if we look at the draft board, if Will Anderson is going to go 2, and at 3, we're looking at potentially an O-lineman, maybe Paris Johnson Jr., going to the Cardinals. So now, the second QB, CJ Stroud, could go to the Colts. But if there's smoke saying that CJ ain't it, could that smoke reach Jim Irsay, and Jim Irsay and the Colts decide to pass on CJ Stroud? Could this now be a Will Levis spot? Or do they not even go quarterback altogether and go somewhere else with it? Now that leads to potential of CJ Stroud to come tumbling. Because you're assuming the Seahawks won't do it. We're assuming the Lions won't do it. Now the Raiders are in play. The Raiders are in play. But let's say they don't do it. I don't think the Falcons will do it. They're really big on Desmond Ridder, even though he only started 4 games. Bears are definitely not doing it. Eagles are not doing it. Now we're looking at the Titans. The Titans were trying to move up to 3 to the Cardinals spot. But allegedly the Cardinals asking price is too much. So maybe if he lasts this far, maybe the Titans are able to scoop up CJ Stroud. So I would think of the teams who would want to muddy the waters on a CJ Stroud and maybe allegedly use whatever resources to get a smear campaign going. It could be the Titans. It could be the Raiders. Or quite honestly, why wouldn't it be the Colts? Why wouldn't the Colts want to step in and have a built-in reason to not take him at 4? Because they're going to get asked that question. If they're still at 4 and the Texans and the Cardinals go defense and O-line and the Colts select another quarterback, they're going to be asked, well, why didn't you take CJ Stroud? Or what was the reasoning behind why you take Will Levis or even an Anthony Richardson over CJ Stroud? They're going to need a reason, a talking point, a narrative at that point in time. Seems to me to have a nice story of someone backing out of the Manning Academy, especially in Indianapolis, where there's a damn statue of Peyton outside Lucas Oil. I think that would be a good sales pitch. If I'm Irsay, I'm like, hey, we looked at him, XYZ, but at the end of the day, we saw some things off the field, character issues, whatever. So now we have this narrative out there. Whether it's true or not, it's out there. So the job is done. No matter what happens with CJ Stroud, this narrative will now be out there thanks to Brady Quinn. That's why you see people like, Bucky Brooks and RC fighting to push the narrative back that CJ's a good guy and that this stuff that's being put out here on a podcast to run the numbers up and to get clicks is fugazi. But wouldn't that be a good excuse for the Indianapolis front office to have? Well, you heard what he did to Peyton, right? Peyton's a god here. Why would we draft a guy that spurned the dude who has a literal statue out front? He turned his back, or he ghosted the dude that has a statue out front. We can't take him at 4. So now let's introduce you to Will Levis. That's what it's looking like to me. I think there are three, if we're to believe that a front office is instigating this, I think it's between the Colts, the Raiders, or the Titans. Those are the only teams to me that can benefit from CJ Stroud dropping. And this is what, Matt Miller was mentioning here. Who does it benefit? It benefits those three teams. Because like we've been talking about for over a month now, we've been hearing CJ Stroud is going to be, if not the first QB off the board, the second QB off the board, and they're going to go very early, most likely 1-2. Now we're hearing 1-4, 1-7, 1-11. How did we get here?